That morning, the air on the 17th floor felt colder than usual. The central AC hummed softly, but Yin's head throbbed. She stared at her laptop screen showing the campaign evaluation slides, red numbers, downward graphs, and the biting comments her boss had left yesterday afternoon. Yin, you're the only one handling the digital assets. Why did our CTR tank? Team leader Han's voice was flat but pressing. Yin drew a breath, holding herself back. Sir, the digital assets were indeed under me, but the main copy and the final visuals that went live were changes from the creative team. I already sent revision notes twice. Don't be defensive, Manager Kim cut in. The client is angry. We need solutions fast. Those words missed the mark deliberately. Yin still remembered all the reprimands that had been aimed only at her on purpose. Heat spread into her palms. It wasn't the first time the burden was shifted onto her shoulders. On the screen, chat notifications poured in. Team leader Han, please draft tonight's post-mortem. Yin. Manager Kim, add a root cause section related to paid media management. Focus on Yin's touchpoints. Finance, we need clarification on the budget overspend. Yin, you know the exact figures, right? She wasn't the only one doing the work, but the name they called was always hers. Yin closed her laptop gently. Right then, Manager Kim came over to her desk, looking ready to pile on another task. But before he could speak, Yin cut in first. Sir, I'm submitting my resignation. Her voice was calm, her eyes clear. She set a cream-colored envelope in the middle of the desk. Manager Kim raised an eyebrow. Now? Effective today. Yin straightened her chair. Thank you for the opportunity. No dramatics, no tears, just a decision that had finally ripened after countless quiet, heavy sighs. That night, Yin's apartment in Mapo felt heavier and tighter than usual. On the table lay a stack of CV printouts she'd revised 10 times. She looked at her phone screen, typed, Dad, Mom, how are you? Then deleted it. She couldn't bring herself to say she was newly unemployed. She opened her laptop. Job sites, filters, Seoul, full-time, staff, admin or secretary, executive support. Dozens of listings scrolled by. Then one title stuck to her eyes. Hanul Dreamland Development HDD, one of Korea's leading property developers, hiring executive secretary to the CEO. Hanul Dreamland. The name rang a bell, a property giant that built a mixed-use complex in Yeouido, premium residences in Bundang, and a new mall network in Bisan. Yin swallowed. Strict requirements, bilingual ability, complex calendar management, executive protocol, and a high level of discretion. Below it, an unusual application instruction. First, required email subject, HDD exasec name. Second, attach a CV plus a one-page problem-solving statement. Describe one work crisis you faced and how you resolved it. Third, record a 60-second self-introduction video with no filter, MP4 format. Fourth, a small challenge. Read the 3 attached emails and rank their priority P1, P3. Explain your reasoning in 5-7 sentences. Yin gave a thin smile. Okay, this isn't surrender. This is a fight. She prepared a white shirt, set her hair simply, and turned on the camera. Hello, my name is Park Yin. Her voice trembled at first but steadied by the second beat. She wrote an honest problem statement about a chaotic campaign, how she gathered evidence, negotiated with the client, and rebuilt the timeline so the damage wouldn't spread. Then she opened the 3 attached emails, detailing urgency, stakeholders, and reputational risk. Midnight slipped by. She hit send. Email subject, HDD exasec Park Yin. Done. For the first time in months, Yin fell asleep without replaying team leader Han's voice in her head. 2 days later, an email notification pinged just as Yin was drizzling honey into a cup of warm lemon water. From careers@hdd.co.kr. Subject, interview invitation, executive secretary to CEO. Congratulations, Park Yin. You have been selected for the next stage. Time, tomorrow, 8:30. Location, Hanul Tower, Yeouido, 45th floor. Dress code, smart formal. Please arrive 15 minutes early. Yin's heart leapt. She looked at the small mirror in the living room. You can do this. You have to. That morning, Hanul Tower rose like glass reflecting the sky. Its marble lobby was cream with fine gold lines, a faint cedar scent in the air. LED walls showcased HDD's projects, Hanul Riverfront Residences, Dreamland Plaza, and Blue Ginkgo Park. Good morning. How can I help you? The receptionist smiled. I'm Yin. I have an interview for the CEO's secretary position. Soon, a woman with a neat bob approached. I'm Kim Soolji Hour. Please follow me. Her voice was friendly yet efficient. The elevator shot up. Yin glanced around. Oddly, there were no other candidates waiting, just me. Seulgi only smiled. This is all per our CEO's requested format, an answer that still left Yin puzzled. Ding. On the 45th floor, a gray carpeted corridor led to a glass lounge with a view of the Han River. There, Seulgi turned. Before we begin, let me explain. Today's process will be final. You'll be interviewed by the CEO. If he agrees, there will be a short simulation task. Don't worry, we're looking for fit, not perfection. Yin nodded. Her palms were slightly damp. A matte black door opened. The office was wide and pristine, with a walnut desk facing floor-to-ceiling windows. At the far end stood a man with his back turned, watching the sun stripe the river in shining paths. And, when he turned, time seemed to press shut. "Good morning, Miss Yin," he said evenly. Yin's world snapped for a fraction of a second. A defined jaw, dark eyes whose words she once knew by heart, and the faint curve of a smile that had once been infuriating. He stood before her now, not a mischievous student, but the CEO of Hanul Dreamland Development, Jungkook. Flashback. For 4 years of college, Yin and Jungkook were almost always the top 2 names. Every time grades came out, they had a quiet ritual. Papers lifted to chest height, chin tilted a little, and a single word sharp enough to sting without shouting. Close, one of them would say when the margin was 2 or 3 points. If you lost, you forced a smile and said, "Good game." If you won, your spine stood half an inch taller on its own. For Jungkook, it was just fair sparring, his way to keep the class sharp. That quick close was seasoning for the competition. Short, clean, done. For Yin, every score was a battle. She logged the margins, memorized where she slipped. When she lost, the annoyance clung for days. When she won, her fist curled small in her blazer pocket, proud, but too proud to show it. Late afternoon, the day before graduation, warm air skimmed the back quad. In the tree shadows, Jungkook waited with a one-strap backpack and a calmer face than usual. "Got a minute to meet?" his text read earlier. Yin showed up, standing straight, keeping a safe distance. "What is it?" she asked flat, the same tone she used after grade postings. Jungkook glanced aside, as if lining up words, then looked back at her. "I like you," he said outright. His voice was clear, no loop-de-loops. "I have for a long time." Yin let out a short laugh, reflex, almost mocking. "Funny," she said, eyes narrowing. "Is this a bet? With who? Jaehyun, Minju, a pre-grad prank? Besides, there's no scoreboard left to win, right?" "No," Jungkook shook his head fast. "No bet, no game. I'm serious. I thought, all this time we were pushing each other. Fun, but honestly Don't wrap this in fun," Yin cut in sharp. "Maybe it was a game for you. For me, it was serious. Every time I lost, you stood a little taller and tossed a close. You think I forgot?" It still pissed her off to remember how she had to grind hard for top marks while Jungkook looked chill, borderline lazy, and somehow still kept pace with her. Jungkook drew a breath, holding back. "And when you won, didn't you flex on me too? Fine. I never took it as payback. We're both ambitious. Rivalry like that is normal, isn't it?" Yin gave a dry chuckle. "I don't know. It just feels weird that after all that, you suddenly drop a love confession at the end." "What's weird about it? We played our parts when it fit. Maybe rivals, not enemies. I admire you. I like you. I kept it down so it wouldn't mess up our rhythm and focus." He swallowed. "But now that we're about to split paths, I want to be honest. I don't want to lose you. I don't want the distance. I love you, Yin." Yin let out a breath. "Sorry, I can't. I've already filed you under annoying rival, and changing that label feels off. And honestly, I don't buy it. I don't think that's love. You just don't want to lose your rival." A thin quiet dropped between them. From far off came shoes on pavement, the faint cheer of committee kids rehearsing. Jungkook laced his fingers, then let them go. "I'm not asking for a pretty answer," he said softly. "If you don't believe me, I won't push. I just don't want to graduate without being honest." Yin stared at him for a long moment, trying to read the face that had always stood across the lane from her. "I'm sorry, I can't," she said at last. Jungkook nodded once, neat. "No pleading, no drama, all right?" he said. "Thanks for coming." Yin turned first. Her steps were steady, her breathing heavy, but even behind her, Jungkook stayed a few seconds more, eyes on the ground, then left without looking back. From that day, Their rivalry was simply over. They'd graduated, for once. Neither of them cared to ask about final scores. They moved through hallways like strangers. Yin felt relieved and refused to admit to the empty space left behind. No more numbers to chase. Jungkook kept his distance with a cold discipline. He understood the rejection, but his pride cracked in a quiet place. For the first time in his life, he felt small. He'd been used to turning other girls down. He never expected to be the one turned down, especially by the only girl he actually liked and acknowledged. Turns out, winning on grades never taught him how to lose at the heart. Flashback ends. In the CEO's office of Hanul Dreamland, their eyes met again. Jungkook's voice was professional now. Yin drew a slow breath. What flashed wasn't playful banter but the old scoreboard. Close, good game, one blunt confession, and a firm rejection. Now they faced each other as adults, former rivals who once measured distance in numbers. Yin stood in the doorway a moment longer than necessary. Her palms were cold, but she laced her fingers so they wouldn't show the tremor. She needed this job. That alone kept her from getting defensive or acting smug like she used to back in college. Mr. Jeon, her voice came out softer than planned. She chose the formal address, squared her shoulders. Thank you for inviting me. Jungkook gestured to the chair without much sound. There was a pause as thin as a breath when his gaze swept over Yin's face, like weighing memories that wanted to speak. Then he reset his tone, right back to professional. Please, have a seat, and thanks for coming. He closed a slim folder. I've read your problem statement and your email prioritization. Interesting. I want to see how you work in a real context. He pressed the intercom. Sulji, please send the inbox simulation to the workstation. A soft click, and iMac lit up the small conference table. 4 emails appeared in sequence: a scheduling conflict between the groundbreaking and an investor meeting, a last-minute photo op request from the mayor, a CFO report about a late vendor, and a private message from the PR manager asking for fast access to the CEO. You have 20 minutes, Jungkook said. His voice was even, careful, not too hard, not too warm. His pride was clearly at war in front of the woman who'd once turned him down, but right now, he chose to play the boss he was supposed to be. Prioritize, draft initial responses, and give me a plan. Who does what, at what time, and what the risk is if we push anything back. Yes, sir. Yin exhaled slowly. She sat up straight, keeping her words measured. You're the subordinate. Focus on the work. Her fingers moved, mapping the CEO's and external parties' time blocks, drafting crisp, no-nonsense lines. We appreciate the urgency. The CEO will attend at. She pulled the photo op 15 minutes earlier for lighting and traffic flow reasons, aligning it with the route to the groundbreaking site. For the CFO, she proposed a stopgap, a backup vendor for non-critical elements to keep the event on time, plus a debrief with the main vendor that afternoon. PR, a polite refusal of fast access for breaking protocol, paired with an alternate slot next week, so they'd have room to build the press release strategy. 20 minutes up. Yin presented concisely, steady, no fluff. She didn't glance over for approval. It was enough to keep her voice from cracking. Jungkook gave a small nod. Your structure is tight. He held himself a beat. There was the faint outline of the student who'd once said no, but he pushed it behind the language of work. You put public stakeholders above internal convenience. Good. He leaned back, face locking back into place. Now the hard question. Why did you resign? That very day? Yin met his eyes. Because I was left to carry the blame that didn't belong to one person. Because my voice just echoed off the wrong walls. And if I'd stayed, I would have turned into someone who scapegoats others too. She swallowed. I don't want to become bitter. Thank you for saying that, Jungkook replied quietly. He stood, checked the clock just to buy a moment. I don't like long processes. Hanul Dreamland moves fast. Yin felt her pulse rise and fall, not from nostalgia, but from need. She kept both hands on the table so the shake wouldn't show. I'm offering you, Jungkook continued, choosing words that live strictly in the office, the executive secretary to the CEO role, 3-month probation, salary at our standard, full benefits, start Monday. You'll work directly with me, calendar, communications filter, and executive protocol. One condition, both personal and professional. We work like adults. What's past is past. In this office, I'm your boss. Yin gave a single nod. She needed this job, and she wasn't going to be careless. Jungkook held out his hand. A split-second beat, then Yin took it. Warm, firm, awkward as it was, it ended in one clean motion. Welcome to Hanul Dreamland, Miss Yin. The handshake broke. A cold draft from the AC brushed along Yin's pulse, and she laced her fingers again, a small ritual to steady herself. 2 knocks on the door. Seulgi appeared with a clear folder and a lanyard still sealed in plastic. Contract, NDA, and payroll forms, Seulgi said. If you're okay with everything, we can process it today. You can start Monday. All right, Yin replied. Her voice was steady enough. Jungkook gave a slight nod. I have a meeting in 5 minutes. If you need access to anything, ask Seulgi. His professionalism was airtight, leaving no room for the past to slip in. Yes, sir, Yin said. Once Jungkook stepped out, Seulgi lowered her voice. Water? She offered a bottle. Yin took it and signed the documents one by one. The name Jeon Jungkook in the direct supervisor field made her heartbeat tap lightly. She held it down. Quick tour? Seulgi offered. They walked the glass corridor on the 45th floor. This is the blue ginkgo meeting room, pantry at the end, quiet room 2 doors to the left. Your workstation's on the executive side, near the central calendar. Yin nodded, catching the office rhythm like mapping a new route in her head. Yin's first days moved like a sped-up metronome. By 7:20 she was already in the lobby. 7:30 a quick site check over the phone, 8:45 briefing, 9:12 meeting after meeting. Afternoons into evening were filled with follow-ups, calendar blocks, and gatekeeping access to the CEO. Jungkook's rhythm was dense and precise, 10-minute buffers before every meeting, email replies within 30 minutes for priority stakeholders, and decisions distilled into 3 bullets, who won evidence. In front of Yin, Jungkook was strictly professional. His tone was neutral, his instructions clear, and he never once hinted at old grudges or brought up the past. Yin felt relieved. It made the boundaries of her work obvious. Still, there was a small snag she couldn't name. Every time they crossed paths, Jungkook treated her as if they'd never known each other at all. Not cold, not overly friendly, just boss and secretary, period. 5 days later, Yin received a calendar invite, external meeting Mara Plaza offsite. A small note underneath, accompany the CEO. Depart 13 o'clock from basement B2. In B2 parking, Hanul Dreamland's black sedan was waiting. The driver had taken a sudden leave, so Jungkook would be driving himself. For the first time, Yin was in a car alone with him. She pulled the seatbelt across, sat straight, and set the folder and run down on her lap. Radio off, cabin quiet. The engine hummed. The wheels rolled. Jungkook said nothing except, is the rundown final? Yes, sir. Page 2 has an option if the client's CFO asks for adjustments. Okay. After that, silence. Yin looked out. The river threw back the midday light, bridge shadows sliding across the water like black lines. She twirled a pen between her fingers, trying to focus on the talking points, tenant mix, cash flow, construction phases. But the hush in the cabin felt like a tall wall, orderly, not hostile, yet firm about the distance. At a red light near Yoido, Yin's phone buzzed. Almost at the same time, Jungkook did too. Same notification, alumni econ, class group. Bam bam. Hey guys, why is this chat so dead? Like walking through a cemetery. Let's do a reunion. Cafeteria or the library corner? Nostalgia. Pretend study edition. Jaehyun. Demand theory is real. Wedding invites keep going up. Bank balance stays the same. Bam bam. Anyone still got micro midterm notes from 201X? I'm auctioning mine, alumni price. Yoonwoo. Reunion dress code. Thesis defense shirt. Bonus points if the buttons still close. Laugh stickers flooded the chat. Yin let out a small chuckle, more a breath that turned into a smile. They're the same, still joking like we did in class, she murmured to herself, though part of it was meant for Jungkook too. But Jungkook didn't turn. He only adjusted his grip on the wheel, eyes straight ahead. When the light turned green and the car moved again, he finally spoke, light tone, clear line. For the presentation deck, page 4 is too dense. Please prep a lean version, 1 chart, 1 key number, 1 tying sentence. Yin held her phone, still on the group chat, then locked it. Got it, sir. I'll trim that section. Thanks. Done. The wall was back up. Yin swallowed, giving a small nod even though Jungkook wasn't looking. She got it, even outside the office. He kept the orbit of conversation strictly around work. Not rude, not curt, just total commitment to the role. He used to be totally as a rival, now he was totally as a boss. At the next intersection, Yin opened the folder. Sir, I suggest we lead with the 12-month occupancy projection, then capex, not the other way around. The client's a results first type. Agreed, Jungkook answered shortly. We open with outcomes, then structure. The cabin breathed out the same cold air. Yin steadied her breathing. Part of her felt safe, clear, measurable, no feelings required. But a smaller part grew restless. Is it really going to be this strict? Even laughing at old friends' jokes has to be tucked away? She didn't dare protest. Not now, when Jungkook was positioning himself strictly as her boss, not a friend, and definitely not someone who'd once confessed to her. Quietly, Yin grumbled at herself. What exactly did you expect, Yin? Once they arrived, the meeting went smoothly. The discussion moved on to capex and construction phases. Yin had already prepared an alternate schedule that swapped two non-critical tasks. The meeting ended right at the 58-minute mark. Handshakes, a promise to send minutes by the afternoon, and then goodbyes. In the elevator, Yin held her folder so it wouldn't shake. She didn't need praise. It was enough to know everything followed the rundown. On the drive back, the cabin was quiet again, only the soft hum of the AC and the wheels. At a red light, both Yin's and Jungkook's phones buzzed at the same time. Alumni econ, class group. Bam Bam created a poll. Reunion next month. Options. Join can't postpone. The numbers moved fast. Yin glanced down, then tapped join. It landed at 50% versus 50%. She checked the list. Only one person hadn't voted, Jungkook. Yin swallowed, then found her nerve. Mr. Jian, she said carefully, still formal. There's a reunion poll in the alumni group. It's 50-50. You're the only one who hasn't voted. Silence. Jungkook didn't answer or look over. She understood now, even outside the office. The conversation stayed strictly about work. She locked her screen and looked out the window. Back at the office, Yin sat down, steadied her breathing, and drafted the minutes. Only then did she reopen the alumni group chat. The top notification read, Jian Jungkook voted, can't postpone. The numbers shifted, and postponement was now the majority. Bam Bam. All right, reschedule it is. We'll find a lighter week. Yoonwoo. Got it. I'll make a new poll next week. Yin stared at the screen for a few seconds, not surprised, just a hollow feeling that was hard to name. It felt stiff, too tidy, and now Yin was starting to feel uneasy. She closed the chat and went back to work. She held her breath for a count, then let it go. Okay, she murmured to the screen and to herself. For now, that wall wasn't meant to be knocked down. Finish the job first, on time, like always. Over the next few days, the office moved like a wave that never broke. Yin had felt dizzy since morning, light at first, then creeping heavier. She held it back. There was no point complaining. He's the boss, not a friend. Once a rival, now a superior. Period. She sipped water, marked the calendar, built briefs, closed one meeting, and opened the next. By late morning, they had to head out for an external meeting with an important client. The car and driver were waiting at the drop-off. Jungkook walked in front. Yin followed with a folder and tablet in hand. On the front terrace were two small steps. Yin stepped down. Her vision sparkled, then the world tilted. Yin. Jungkook's voice cut sharply through the air. The folder slipped from her hands. The edge of the step caught her temple. Warm, wet, blood. In a fraction of a second, Jungkook was already kneeling, cradling Yin's head in his arms. Half conscious, Yin felt her body lifted, firm, hurried, but careful. She caught one sentence that didn't sound like it belonged to a boardroom. Hang on, Yin, I'm here. When she came to, the smell of antiseptic greeted her. The lights were dim. The blanket was thicker than anything she used at home. Yin blinked. An elastic bandage wrapped her temple, and an IV was taped to the back of her hand. On the chair by the bed, Jungkook. His jacket was folded over the backrest, sleeves rolled to the elbows, phone face down. He turned when Yin stirred. You're awake. His voice had dropped half an octave, steady, clean. Yin reflexively tried to sit up, but Jungkook adjusted the bed and raised the headrest with a gentle hand. Slow down. I'm sorry, the meeting. Her voice was rough. It's already rescheduled, Jungkook cut in, briskly. It's fine. What matters now is you rest. Yin glanced around and only then noticed the sign on the door. VIP room. Why VIP? The doctor wants one night of observation. You're exhausted, and you've got a small laceration on your temple. 2 stitches, not deep. Jungkook took a breath. I didn't want you waiting in there. Yin was quiet. 2 minutes ago, she'd braced for a cold line, but what she got was presence, full and unflinching. You're not going home? No, flat. Without theatrics. Your family's in Daegu. I'll be here until you're discharged. Yin swallowed. A warm, strange weight rose in her chest. Why? Do you care? She asked at last. I thought we were just boss and secretary. Once rivals, not friends. Jungkook looked at the floor for a beat, then back at her. "I'm not sure why that still needs an answer," he said softly. "I go all in on roles. As a rival, I went all in. At the office as a boss, I go all in. But there's one role you haven't seen." Yin frowned. "What?" "Boyfriend," he said simply. "As a boyfriend, I go all in too. And you haven't seen that yet." The silence widened, but it wasn't stiff. The monitor ticked gently, the curtain stirred in the AC. Yin looked at Jungkook for a long moment, and for the first time since the back of the campus building, she felt his gaze wasn't pleading or pressing, only offering space. "I turned you down before," Yin said quietly. "I thought you just missed having a rival. I was angry and proud. I remember, and you had every right to turn me down." Jungkook nodded. "But, can you give me a chance? Trust me this time? The truth is, I still love you. In a way that won't mess with work, won't demand an answer on the spot, but it's real. I'm not here for nostalgia. I'm here because of you, and yeah, I'm still hoping." Yin closed her eyes for a second, feeling the weight at her temple, then opened them. "If I say yes, what happens to us?" "In the office, formal, just like we always are. Protocol stays. Outside the office, Jungkook and Yin. Or honey, darling, maybe baby." He gave a small smile, the first one of the day. Yin laughed softly, then winced, because her temples still hurt. "If your all-in as a boyfriend is as tidy and firm as you are as a boss, maybe. That's exactly what I needed." "So?" Jungkook asked, careful and quiet. "Do you believe me this time that I mean it?" His face was open, hopeful. Yin drew a breath, fingers catching the edge of the blanket. Then steady, she said, "Yeah, I'm in," she added, half shy, half relieved. "But please, don't build those walls so high again, at least when we're off the clock." The line of Jungkook's jaw softened. "Deal." He didn't grab her hand. He asked with his eyes. Yin slid her palm out from under the blanket. Jungkook took it, warm sure. Night sank slowly beyond the glass. Sulji texted, "All set. Let Yin rest. Do Hyein. Meeting moved to Thursday. Get well soon." Jungkook switched notifications off, leaving only silent mode. He poured water into a cup and helped Yin drink. "If you feel dizzy or need anything, just say it, okay?" he said gently. "I'm right here." Yin nodded. "Thanks, Jungkook." "Sleep," he murmured, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Yin closed her eyes. For the first time in a long while, there were no numbers to chase, no thin little jabs, no meeting waiting at the door. There were only two rhythms falling in step, one on the monitor by the bed, one in the chair beside it, and a simple promise that starting tomorrow, they would build two lanes, one for Hanul Dreamland, and one for their relationship. Warmth filled the space that used to be empty. Yin drifted off with a small smile, a reply that had finally found its home.